Before we jump into today's episode, I want to give a massive shout out to our amazing sponsor this season, Caroline from Huntington House Kitchen. Caroline is a multi-award winning business owner and baker and the life and soul behind her online membership, the Bake With Me Club. She helps people of all skill levels bake with confidence from the comfort of their own kitchen. She's passionate about making baking simple, fun and healthier, and her classes are hands-on, interactive and packed with tips and guidance. Right now, Caroline is sharing a fantastic free download with listeners called 5 Secrets to Make a Perfect Sponge Cake. It's full of her tried and tested simple tips so you can bake beautiful, delicious sponges every time without the stress. You can grab it at www.huntingtonhousekitchen.co.uk/5 secrets. I'll make sure to pop the link along with all the ways to find out more about Caroline and her Bake With Me Club in the show notes too. In the meantime though, let's get back to the episode that you're here for. In today's episode, I'm breaking down the 9 Instagram updates I've seen over the last few months that actually matter for small business owners who are doing it all themselves. So if you've ever felt overwhelmed trying to keep up with every change Instagram throws at you, or you're worried that you're missing something important whilst juggling a million other things on your to-do list and in your business, then this episode is for you. I am talking about the updates that can actually make a difference for your reach, engagement, and the way you manage your content without adding more stress or making you feel like you need to learn everything at once. By the end, you'll know the changes that are worth paying attention to so you can stop worrying about what you're missing and focus only on what actually matters for your business. But before we dive in, if you are new here, hi, I am your host, Becci McAvoy. I am a multi-award winning social media marketer and the dreamer behind Be Heard Socials and the Boss Your Socials Club. I created this podcast to help women like you simplify your life and grow a business on your terms without the overwhelm. So if you're ready for some no BS advice, practical tips and honest chats that make social media and business feel lighter and more doable, then you are in exactly the right place. Whilst you're here, can I please ask a tiny favour? If you're enjoying the show, it would mean the world if you could follow the podcast and leave a quick review. It genuinely helps more women discover the show because the more engagement it has, the more the platforms recommend it to people who need this kind of support. It only takes a small moment, but it makes such a massive difference. Thank you so much. Now let's get started with this week's episode. One of the most frustrating things about marketing your business on Instagram has got to be that it just doesn't stop changing. It feels like one minute you've finally figured out how to schedule a reel or post a story or get more engagement without losing your mind. And the next, they've gone and switched everything up again and it's all changed. I get it. It's really, really frustrating. But here's the thing. Not every update actually matters or is relevant to small business owners who are marketing their business. It's about finding the ones that actually matter to you and forgetting the rest of them and focusing on the things that really matter to you, which is why in today's episode, I am sharing the 9 Instagram changes I've noticed over the last few months that actually make a difference for small business owners doing it all themselves and how you can use them without getting overwhelmed. Because the thing is, as frustrating as it is that Instagram is constantly changing, it's also one of the best things about it because they're constantly doing things to make the platform better and to make it easier to get your message across. They are making changes that are good. So in this episode, I am focusing on the ones that matter, the ones that I've seen and gone, yeah, that's a good change. And this will really help people. All right, let's get into it and get started with the first one. So the first one came at the end of 2025 when Instagram introduced a seemingly little update that could actually be pretty big for you and your content. So you can now reshare public stories, which basically means your stories can reach more people. And you can reshare public stories that you're not tagged in is actually the key here, because you've always been able to share stories that you've been tagged in, but now you can share the stories that you are not tagged in. Now, why does this matter? Why is this one of the ones that I've picked out? Well, it opens a door for more collaborations and engagement, and shareable content is like the golden ticket for getting in front of new audiences. So this just gives even more ways to do that, which is wonderful. And when you share, credit automatically goes to the original creator. So it's a bit like reposting, but in stories format. So like I said, to be clear, you've been able to do this with stories for a while if you've been tagged in that story. But now you can reshare stories even if you are not tagged, which is a nice expansion of Instagram's repost features that they added back in the summer of 2025, where you could repost grid posts. And this has been done really to keep creators happy. And the idea is to make it easier to share content while still giving credit to the original creator rather than copying and reposting yourself. It's a nice update because the person that's actually created the content in the first place gets the credit. But also, like I said, it just gives you more ways for your content to be shared, which really is that golden ticket for reach. So as long as you've got a public account, if someone sees a story of yours that they like, they can reshare it to their own stories or share it to someone via DMs. And it's really great. It's an update that I really love. So I hope it's one you are excited about too. Okay, so the second update is that Instagram are giving people more control over what appears in their feed. They have been rolling out options to filter or prioritize content. So this, I think, came in September last year, where Instagram was testing a new feature that shows people on the app the topics the algorithm thinks they are interested in. People can then tweak those settings to see more of some topics and less of others. This basically means Instagram will increasingly recommend content based on topics, not just who someone follows. So I want to start by saying this sounds super scary and it almost sounds like, why do I even bother, tantrum worthy? And it caused a lot of noise when it actually happened and a lot of worry and a little bit of fear mongering from experts out there, I say in air quotes. But I really want you not to panic about this. Most, and again, air quote, normal users, people on Instagram won't touch this setting or even know that it exists. They will keep using Instagram in exactly the same way they always have. And the algorithm will continue to show them the content they think they're most interested in based on their activity, which is the way the algorithm has always worked. If reach does drop, it's dropping because people are actively telling Instagram they're not interested in certain things, which is no bad thing, actually. You'd rather your content reach 20 people that are interested than 200 that aren't. So please try not to stress about that. And remember that reach isn't the be all and end all. It's about getting to the right people. Or reach could drop if Instagram doesn't understand what your content is about or who to show it to. So you need to be super clear about what your post is about, which is advice I've always given. A lot of the key advice really here is not to throw lots of topics into one post. Optimize your caption for keywords. And if you're using hashtags, keep them tight and relevant. Don't try and hack the alt words. Keep your account on topic too. Follower numbers still matter despite this update, and there has been a lot of noise around follower numbers not mattering. It does still matter for a lot of reasons, but not as much maybe as it used to, depending on what your main goals are. So for us as business owners, this is just really another reminder that being consistent with what you talk about really helps your content land with the right people. And like I said, that's advice that I have given for a while. It was always important that we were clear in our messaging. It's now just even more important because of this update. But like I said, don't let it stress you out. Don't let it panic you. It is not the be all and end all if your reach drops slightly, and it is about reaching the right people. And I do really stand by the fact, especially if you're business to customer, the majority of normal people using Instagram, so not marketers, aren't even going to know that this is a thing. So they probably won't even change it. Okay, my third update, and this kind of leads on from talking about hashtags just a minute ago. There has been some hashtag changes. Now, I have spoken a lot about hashtags on previous episodes, so I won't go into that again here. I will link to some of the episodes in the show notes if you haven't heard them yet, and you can go and check them out. But nevertheless, Instagram persists and has made some noise about hashtags again recently. So first, they rolled out a change that limited hashtags per post to 3, which happened in November last year. So that was previously 30. You always used to be able to add 30 hashtags to a post. In November last year, they changed it to 3 hashtags a post. And then they bumped it up to 5 at the start of this year. They also emphasized that hashtags are about searchability, not reach. So that kind of ties into that update I was giving you just now about making sure your post is optimized for what it is actually about. It's about searchability, not reach. This really just reinforces everything that I've previously said around hashtags. They don't matter as much anymore, and they're not the magic answer for reach. Instagram has said they know it can be tempting to use more, but a few specific tags actually perform better than a long list of generic ones. And basically, again, this is advice I've been given for years, but quality over quantity is key. So like I said, I've been giving that advice for years. That hasn't actually changed. It's just limited how many hashtags you are allowed to add to a post. So even when you could use more, this was still the advice I would have given. So like I said, just a quick reminder, while hashtags help with search, they don't increase your reach. They are not the magic answer for reach or the hack for reach that they might have once been. So focus on working out what kind of content resonates with your audience. That's what really matters, and making sure that it is clear what your post is talking about. I actually quite like this update as it's really simplified it, and you'll see in my own content that I have started using hashtags again, whereas actually I'd stopped using hashtags for a long time. I think it's made it easier and it's made it clearer and it's made it a nicer way to use them. So yeah, I am using hashtags again. You can use 5 per post, but the key is to keep them relevant and know that they aren't the magic hack or the answer for more reach. It is about searchability. If you want to know more about hashtags, like I said, the majority of the advice that I gave in the episode that I will link in the show notes will still be relevant, although some of it may be a little out of date now, but I will link that in the show notes so that you can go and hear more about that if you want to know more about that. Okay, update number 4, watch history for Reels. So in November last year, Instagram dropped another TikTok-inspired update, and this one was actually quite handy. I really liked it. Adam Mosseri announced that Instagram is rolling out a new watch history section, which lets you see the Reels you've watched in the last 30 days. So if you're anything like me and you're constantly thinking, oh, I need to show someone that Reel, but who posted it again, this will really help. So you'll see the Reels that you have watched. And to be able to do that, just go into the Instagram app and then under profile, go to settings, go to your activity and go to watch history. And inside there, you can scroll through thumbnails of every Reel you've watched in the last 30 days. You can sort them oldest to newest or newest to oldest, whichever you prefer. You can jump to a specific date or date range. You can filter by a specific account. Basically, you can find the thing you couldn't find before if you want to. It's a small update, but a helpful one for when you need it. It only covers the last 30 days as it stands, so not every Reel ever, but still, I think it's quite a helpful little feature. And like I said, if you're anything like me, it will really help you find things more easily. Okay, so update number 5 is also about Reels, and it is that Instagram have introduced a feature where it automatically translates your Reel into different languages. Initially, they added 5. It's now 9, as of very recently, new languages that Reels can be translated to, as well as dubbed and lip matched. So this means that it's not just captions being added to your Reel and translated into different languages, but they can automatically take your voice and use AI to make it look like you're speaking in that language. So the original language they introduced last year were English, Spanish, Hindi, and Portuguese. And the 5 new ones that have come in recently, and I really hope I pronounce these properly, so please bear with me if I don't. It's Bengali, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, and Assamese. So I hope I have pronounced those properly. But these 5 languages are all popular in India, which makes sense as there are more people in India who use Instagram than any other country in the world, apparently. So it makes sense that they're languages that are spoken there. This is massive if you want to reach international audiences authentically without spending hours re-recording. And again, this is about accessibility and expanding your reach, which is really, really cool. I haven't tried this yet. So if you do try it, please come and let me know how it actually works in practice and what it looks like, because I would love to hear. Okay, update number 6. You can now pin your own comments. So you've been able to do this with other people's comments since around 2020, but since September 2025, you can now highlight your own comment by pinning it too. So why would you want to do that? Well, it's perfect for highlighting key info, call to actions, or even your own witty replies. It's quite a small thing, but it helps control the conversation around your posts and keeps the most important messages at the top. And it just makes sense that if you could pin other people's comments, why can't you pin your own too? Well, now you can. So yeah, nice, short, sweet, simple update and feature that can be really good for you. Okay, number 7 is that Instagram has added new ways to organize our DMs. You can filter by story replies, unread, unanswered, followers, and verified. Plus, you can customize shortcuts at the top of your inbox. So these shortcuts look like little tablets, and you can customize which ones you have at the top of your DM screen. So you know where you can go to like general, primary, unread, etc. You can customize that bit to what is most useful to you, except for requests. My understanding is that requests has to stay there. They're also rolling out folders, which is huge if your DMs get messy. So you can organize your messages in a way that works for you, which is really cool because my brain loves folders. So if yours does too, this is a really good update for you. For business owners, this makes it much easier to respond strategically. No more missing potential collaborations or client inquiries. And again, it's showing that DMs are clearly a priority for Instagram. So they're adding loads of features and different things to it to make it more usable for people. So this is just a nice way to filter things. And like I said, my brain loves a folder and loves being able to filter stuff. I like using this filter to filter my unread messages because sometimes Instagram loses messages for me and it will say I've only got 3 unread messages, for example. But when I filter them to unread, more come up that have just seemed to have vanished, which is really annoying. So by doing this, it's a way that I know that I'm actually finding those messages. And also, I think it's really cool that you're allowed to do things by like story replies, for example. So if you've got set engagement time in every day to reply to people who have engaged with your stories, you can filter it by that, which I think is a really great thing. So yeah, you can filter your DMs and just feel a lot more organized and a lot less like everything is all chaotic and all over the place, which I'm always here for. Okay, so number 8 is an exciting one. You can now add clickable links in Reels, which is amazing. However, there is a catch. It only works if you create them in Instagram's Edits app, and you can only link to other Instagram profiles or Reels. Still, it is a step forward, and being able to drive traffic from a Reel, even internally, is a tool for visibility engagement, which is great. It's not perfect yet, and it would obviously be wonderful if we could link to an external website or things like that, but it's worth experimenting with if you're using Reels to promote other content. So yeah, the only 2 caveats is that you can only link to another Reel or another Instagram profile, and you do need to use Instagram Edits app to do it. Still, like I said, it's a really great thing and worth trying out if you are serious about Reels and wanting to try and do more things with them. And it's a really great way, actually. You could set up series or challenges, and you could say, for example, you're doing a challenge, you could say on day 1 of the challenge, we did this, and link to the Reel. So there's loads of really cool creative stuff you could do with your content with it as well. Okay, so the final update is that Instagram is working on the ability to schedule trial Reels, which is fantastic. And I'm so pleased about it. If you don't know, trial Reels, a new feature that came out last year, and they are Reels that are only pushed out to people who don't follow you. So if you've never used trial Reels before, they're a great way to test content, reach new followers, and experiment without committing to a permanent post that's like on your grid that all your followers see. It only goes out to people who don't follow you, which is a great way as well to get reach into new audiences. So like I said, Instagram are working on the ability to be able to schedule these, which is amazing because, as you will well know, if you have spent any time around me, I am an enormous advocate of scheduling anything, not just Reels. I will be honest, I've not really used trial Reels at all yet, and it's something I really want to do. It's on my to-do list. And actually, I think that not being able to schedule them is probably one of the biggest reasons that I haven't really used them yet, because you couldn't schedule them, and that's how I get my content done. So I'm really excited this is going to be coming, but I'm even more excited that recently I noticed that you don't even need to wait for the rollout to happen. I have seen on my favorite scheduler, Metrical, you can do it now. It already lets you schedule a trial Reel. So this is quite new to Metrical. It might be on other schedulers as well. I don't know because I don't use them, but it's definitely on Metrical. So all you need to do is open up to schedule a post, and then on the drop-down menu, when you say whether you are doing a post or a Reel, there is now an option for a trial Reel, and you just need to select that. I will put a link to Metrical in the show notes if you don't use it already and you want to go and check it out, because like I said, you don't even need to wait for the rollout because you can already do this on here. So again, for anyone serious about Reels or reaching new audiences, this is an easy way to plan, test and optimize your content. So that is it. Those are the 9 updates I think matter most right now for small business owners who are doing it all or predominantly all themselves. And here is what I want you to remember. Social media is constantly changing. Not every update will be relevant to you. Some updates are still in testing, so don't panic if you don't see them yet. And most importantly, don't let these updates distract you from what's already working. Focus on your strategy, your audience, and your consistency. Explore new features only if you have the headspace to do so. If you want to get these updates more regularly, make sure you are on my email list. I've already shared all of these over the last few months for free, and some of these updates went right back to September 2025. So I've shared them on my email list for free already, and I've also shared them and gone into more detail about them inside the Boss Your Socials Club. In the Boss Your Socials Club, we have a members podcast where members get them all first, and I go into a lot more detail about what they actually mean for your business. So I will add the link to join my email list, which you can do for free, or check out Boss Your Socials Club in the show notes if you want to stay more on top of updates like these in a more timely manner. Because like I said, some of these went right back to September 2025. So it's a really great way to get them in a more timely manner without overwhelming yourself, because I am doing the hard work for you, sifting through the ones that matter. So thank you so much for listening. I know Instagram can feel like a slog sometimes with constant updates and changes, but I only ever pick the ones that I think will make the biggest difference for you. You don't need things taking up space in your brain that don't matter. And honestly, even with these, if you don't have the headspace right now, it is completely fine to ignore the ones I've mentioned today too. Just do what is right for you and what feels good for you. In the meantime, I will be back in your ears in the next episode. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I am honestly so grateful you choose to spend your time here. Before you go though, if you love this podcast and you're a woman running a small business who wants to make social media easier and business life less lonely, I have got something for you. The Boss Your Socials Club is here to bring you inspiration, accountability, confidence, and community. It's a place where we ban the word should, because we believe in bespoke advice that will work for you, your stage of life, and your business. You get a monthly content plan, ready-to-use templates, accountability and action sessions, a private members podcast, expert support, a brilliant community of women who get it, and so much more. It's like having a mini social media expert and a bunch of cheerleaders in your pocket so you can show up with confidence without the overwhelm. Membership starts at just £14 a month, and there is different tiers depending on the level of support you want. Thanks again for listening, and I will see you next time.